All right guys, today I want to do a quick video on how wide should you set up with the driver for optimizing swing speed and distance. I don't know why my voice just cracked like a teenager, but anyway, get into it right away. For maximizing power, swing speed, distance, too many golfers I see are too narrow. If you have too narrow of a stance, you can't properly shift your weight, you don't have a strong foundation, and you can't generate power from the ground up through the body, out onto the hands, into the club and the ball. To make this as simple as possible, I want you to think about getting in a position where you feel as athletic as possible. Pretend you're returning a serve in tennis, or pretend you're playing defense in basketball, or trying to prevent your dog from running around, playing with them in the yard, trying to get past you. If you're trying to do any of those things, you're not going to have a narrow stance. You're going to be pretty wide, somewhat low with a decent amount of leg flex, and you're going to be in a position to move left or right as athletically, as quick, as explosively as possible. And that's exactly what you want for setting up with the driver to hit the ball as far as possible. When you have a wider stance, when you get more engaged with the ground. Don't worry about knee flex. That's going to happen naturally the wider you go out with your feet. You just want to get in a position where you feel athletic, where you can move one way or the other. From here, you can use your legs. You can rotate into this leg, rotate the other way into this leg. When you're too narrow, you're really not able to rotate properly, and you certainly can't sway and use your legs for some lateral power. If you try to do that with a narrow stance and sway or even rotate too much, your chin's going to get out past your foot and you're going to get stuck behind your back foot, and then you're going to try to swing and you're going to be too far to the right, or if you're a lefty, too far to the left. You need to load to explode, and what you want to do is get to this position here, rotate, sway, you're loaded, and then from here, obviously you shift back to your front leg, transfer that weight, and swing through. If you're standing on one leg and trying to swing a golf club, there is no weight shift because you only have a very small contact point with the ground. So if you're too narrow, it's more similar to that. If you look at any power hitters in baseball, I want to use a baseball analogy because it's an explosive movement, just like no different than the golf swing. You're just more upright. But you'll see guys not necessarily start super wide, but guys who don't start wide, they're going to get a leg lift and they're going to step out. And by the time they start to engage with the upper body, they're wide. You don't see any guys who are power hitters swing like this. There's no power in that. You cannot generate force from the ground and you're not using your legs. So if you're someone who's always been taught to just think conservatively, think golf's a slow and controlled sport, an unathletic sport, that drives me nuts, because it's, I understand it's a game of precision, and that is definitely part of, certain shots and, short irons and chipping and putting and all that. But if we're trying to think and, to get it long off the tee, 3 woods drivers, we got to think in terms of speed and athleticism. Too many golfers stand there almost like they're a tripod, and it's just an upper body motion. There's no legs involved with that. If you want to instantly increase your power, your swing speed, your distance, you got to use your legs. So that's where it starts anyway. So I encourage you to go to the range. Don't take this to the round just yet. Go to a range. And if you seem like a person who has too narrow of a stance or has never really experimented with trying to get a little wide, a little more athletic, give it a shot at the range and see what happens. I think you will feel more engaged with the ground, and that's what we're trying to start with in the overall picture of trying to develop more swing speed and distance. Another positive of just thinking in athletic terms is weight distribution. If you're getting into a position, again, in your mind, you're trying to return a 120 mile an hour tennis serve, or you're playing defense in basketball, you're naturally, if you're in an athletic, instinctive mode mentally, your software program is thinking athleticism, not technique and science. You're going to position your weight so it's on the balls of your feet, because we can't move on our heels, and we shouldn't be setting up like that in the golf swing. Again, we got to view the golf swing for what it is, and it is an athletic movement. It's a highly explosive motion, no different than a tennis serve, a baseball swing, racquetball, all high explosive rotational movements. So if you think in athletic terms, you're going to naturally engage with the weight in your balls of your feet where it should be, not on your toes and certainly not on your heels. If you have the intent to swing as fast as possible, and again, I'm just talking for the driver, this is what I'm trying to teach. I'm not going to be a wedge guy, that's for sure, or a putting coach by any means. But if you're trying to add some swing speed and distance, maximize distance, and you can always dial it back, obviously, but it's good to to get that baseline up as high as possible, then you can dial it back. Again, that's for another video, get more in depth with that. But again, just try to think into athletic terms. That, I think, will help you more than anything. Get out of a very conservative, slow, almost passive mindset. In order to maximize your swing speed and distance, you got to think more like an athlete. You got to think of the golf swing as an athletic movement and motion, and that's what it is. Take home point in this: program the software and the hardware will take care of itself. Meaning, if you plant the seed in your mind in terms of, I want to treat this as an athletic motion, think more in a primal instinct mode. If you think and set up for like, I'm gonna go at this as hard as I can, you're naturally gonna get in a position of athleticism. And that's the thing I think is missing in golf a little bit still to this day. It's very fundamental, obviously. It's a precise sport, game with precision, but you can always dial things back. What I see is missing in most golfers, not as much as it used to be, is that their ceilings aren't as high as they could be because they've always had a conservative mental approach. So if you can start to think in terms of almost a primal athletic software program, your speed ceiling is going to be higher, and then you can always dial it back. You don't have to step on the gas all the way, but you want to put in that 580 horsepower engine, and then, you know, only utilize 70% if you want to. Dial it back, and, you know, you can have a little more control, but you always want to try to maximize the ceiling. So I know I'm kind of going back and forth here and a little bit in circles. It's a lot harder than it looks. Just try to think in athletic terms. Get the software right, and the hardware should take care of itself. That's probably my take-home point with all of this. So I encourage you to go to the range. If you got time this week, give it a shot. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. I'll try to get back to you. If you have any questions, I'm just going to try to keep pumping out as much as I can. You know, again, I'm by no means, I'm not a scratch golfer. I'm not a swing playing coach. All I was a really, really athletic guy who worked really hard and trained with a lot of high-end dudes. And I just want to try to get out as much as I can, hopefully help people maximize their training, athleticism, and their swing speed and distance. That's what this is all about. So again, thanks for watching. A like is appreciated, a follow is greatly appreciated, and I'm just going to continue to pump out as much as I can and see where this goes. So have a good one, guys. Thanks so much.